when RaceRoom Racing Experience launched, it was a bit like a birthday candle on a cake. One of those fancy Chinese birthday candles that sings a song, because let's face it, RaceRoom did sound good. Unfortunately, like a Chinese birthday candle, after you light it and the fumes go in the air, you not only get cancer, but the candle is blown out and the room fills with smoke, and you're left thinking, why did I spend £1.50 on this rubbish? That's not to say RaceRoom was completely rubbish when it launched. It wasn't. Looked good, ran pretty well, had some nice features, but let's face it, it certainly did not live up to hype, and it certainly was not the sort of GTR 3 that people were really hoping for. Now, since the launch and now, there have been some really good updates and content, especially some really fantastic track models and some really fantastic cars. Personally, I really like the DTM cars, and I like how they've been developing the vehicles and improving things progressively. But despite those pretty good updates, there haven't been an earthquake of an update that knocked people with a fence post up their arse onto the floor and into the garden. That is until last week, where RaceRoom not only launched their full laser scan version of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is of course the same laser scan, or based on the same laser scan data that we've seen in Forza, Assetto Corsa, iRacing and every other bloody simulator. In fact, you better watch out. If you do drive this laser scan version of the track, chances are you will come back with some lice, a couple of lumps, and maybe leaking in ways that you don't want to be leaking. But aside from that, it is pretty bloody fantastic that we now have a laser scan version of this track in every sim, and Sector 3 have done an absolutely superb job of capturing the track and all the details, and it just feels really solid. Perhaps one of the most solid, believable versions of the track available. I say it's a close call with some of the versions out there, but it is a really good version of the track. Nonetheless, that's not what is particularly exciting about this patch, what really changes things or should knock those fence sitters off the fence and onto the floor with this patch. The biggest change, which not many people are particularly shouting about, but this is what everyone should be shouting about, is the force feedback changes. Not only do they now have a force feedback meter that lets you check force feedback clipping and all that business, but the actual force feedback itself is so much more communicative. It, in my opinion, absolutely transforms the game. In my mind, driving is about feel. Like, one of the biggest aspects that I enjoy about driving simulators over other games, and the reason to justify buying a force feedback steering wheel and even contemplating spending over £1,000 on a direct drive servo wheel, a big aspect of that is feel. If you've ever been in a go-kart, sat in a car around a racetrack, or been lucky enough to drive an actual race car around a racetrack, it is all about feel. Normally through your arse in real cars, a little bit through the steering wheel, mostly through your arse, but the fact is, that is what driving a car is about. That's what race drivers are doing. They're balancing the car from feel. Obviously they have to learn the track, obviously there's footwork and there's subtleties, but really it comes down to feel. So in my opinion, with driving simulators, feel from the force feedback is the most important thing to capture outside of the general simulation being of a somewhat realistic quality. Without feel, in my opinion, driving simulators basically turn into something like Trackmania. They might be bloody fantastic and it's still fun seeing how the cars move around differently and tweaking them and seeing how setups affect stuff and improving your time and learn the tracks and all that business, but it's not capturing the essence or the spirit of the point of real world driving. I'm pretty sure if you talk to any professional driver, and any professional driver I've talked to, most of them are driving from feel. And this update to RaceRoom, we'll calm ourselves back down now, this update to RaceRoom has incredible force feedback that gives you absolutely fantastic feel, not only for the car's mass in terms of the general loading of the car, but you can really clearly feel the understeer, specific effects of understeer that actually probably better than what I've seen in other simulators in terms of in proper sports cars. When they understeer, often the steering wheel will oscillate. There's really sort of snaggy oscillating feel of the tyres when they're skipping and trying. I assume it's the tyre carcass trying to re-grip the road or something. That's normally lacking in the simulators. In fact, I don't even think it's in AC, which is another sim with fantastic force feedback. It's not in iRacing. I don't even think it's in R Factor 2. For somehow, RaceRoom has this, what I and I think others would agree is a very crucial part of feel. They've got it. Absolutely fantastic. So you've got really good understeer. The self-aligning of the car, which is the sort of nature of the car to correct itself to the path of least resistance, is really clearly conveyed. So that makes, if the back end comes out, it's very easy to correct it with the car actually trying to drive itself. It's just a really good implementation of force feedback now. Another aspect of the force feedback, which I'm not sure how this is happening or why this is happening, is that with the T300 steering wheel that I'm using, it's really strong before clipping. So even if you've got your wheel on, say, 75% strength in the profiler, the actual output force of the wheel is a lot stronger than it would be in, say, Assetto Corsa or iRacing, which in turn makes the cars just feel a little bit more believable, a little bit more solid in many ways. Obviously, if you like force feedback, you can just dial it down even more in the profile or in the game. But it's nice for those of us or those people that want occasionally to have really strong, solid force feedback and a little bit of a workout, even with a consumer wheel. Now, without substantial testing, it could be the case that there is a little bit of detail being lost by having the force feedback on strong. That's often the case. If you have strong force feedback, you can lose linearity, you can lose subtle details. But from my experience of testing it, and as someone that really listens to the force feedback through the hands, I'm really finicky about it. It does seem to be doing the strong force feedback while still giving really nice, crisp details all through the range of strengths of force feedback. It just seems to be increasing the actual volume range and degrees of force feedback, rather than it just being a case of it's a lot stronger and everything's drowned out like your average modern pop song. An added bonus of the strength as well is that the wheel will rotate faster. So again, stuff like self-aligning or the actual immediacy of the rotation. When you've got stronger force feedback, the consumer wheels can then rotate faster. This isn't a problem with direct drive wheels. If you've got a OSW, for example, you can put it on the weakest force feedback setting, and the wheel will still rotate faster than the DeLorean going into time travel mode. But for consumer wheels, it's just nice having that self-aligning be so responsive. So, I'll shut up about the force feedback, but I have to say it is absolutely bloody fantastic, and some of the vehicles in the game especially are completely transformed by this. Now, the patch also brings updates to many of the vehicles, and they've gone back through a lot of the vehicles and improved them. Especially the GT cars now are a lot more exciting to drive. Just take them for a ride around the full Nürburgring and your face will melt and your brain will explode. But then, of course, we've also got the features that were already in the game and were good, but were just a bit hampered by other aspects missing. So, for example, the multiplayer is really, really well done in RaceRoom and always has been. It's just for some reason it's not that active online. It's improving slowly, but with the new updates, you're just going to get a fantastic time. It has stuff like really solid collision netcode, really good auto-moderated servers for pickup public racing, fantastic automatic track rotation, so you can do, say, if you're doing sprint racing and you're not in a league and you just want to do some quick racing, you can go from track to track and it will push everyone along. Just really nicely done. It's stuff that was kind of established in the sort of early 2000s, but has kind of moved to the wayside with some of the recent sims. RaceRoom does those established features really well. Sounds, of course, always have been bloody fantastic in RaceRoom. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. It's probably one of the most immersive sims in terms of sounds. It's just got the balance right between the crispness, the depth of the sound, stuff like the backfires of the exhaust, The reverb is done really nicely. Just really, really good sound. I mean, if their sound engineer was a sexy lady, they would be a page 3 model because they're that good. There's also, as I said, there's been a whole host of patches to the game that just bring things up and fix some bugs that were really annoying. Like there was a bug where before you started a race, 1 or 2 people would get kicked from the server. It would crash. You'd have to restart the game, which is bloody annoying. But that's been fixed. So all really good. Now, there are still a couple of things that Sector 3 do need to improve on. So I'll list them out and get them out of the way. I've put them at the end of the video. So, you know, we've had the good stuff first. Now, the bad things, the AI, at times, it depends entirely on the car and the track and how many cars you put on the track. If you put it on a fast-flowing track without tight corners, you don't have too many cars, you qualify at the front, the AI can be really, really good. Though if you knock into them from behind, you'll tend to rotate a bit too easily, and the AI can get stuck into you. Where the AI really do suffer, though, is, unfortunately, on the new nordschleife track and on tighter corners. They sort of bunch up, they get slowed down, and when you've got a lot of cars there, they really do get stuck. They fix themselves out of getting stuck, but if you're more than, say if you're a moderately good sim racer, i.e. you're sort of 2 or 3 seconds, within 2 or 3 seconds of the pace online in multiplayer against real people, the AI won't be fast enough for you to really give you enough of a challenge once you know a track and a car. If you're not a particularly good sim racer, and probably the type of people that are spending most time driving with the AI, then these issues probably won't affect you because you'll be going so slow anyway. It'll give you a chance to catch up. But as I say, for good sim racers or good sim racers that like to race AI for some bizarre reason, the AI probably isn't up to snuff unless it's a very specific car track combo where the AI happens to work well. And the other issue, and I think this is the biggest issue with RaceRoom now, the only real standout issue, which I think is probably the biggest thing that's always held RaceRoom back, is the way that they monetize and sell the content. They have to have something that allows people to buy all the content for a reasonable price and simply. Or maybe, I don't know, some kind of package or just something that lets people access all the content without having to do this VRP dance. It's not even necessarily about the price. It's more about just getting people to have to arse around with moving money around and deciding what to get and play the game of buying stuff before actually getting to the game. I think Steam pretty much proved without a shadow of a doubt that gamers are gaming for fun. And people, when they're doing something for fun, it all goes all the way through the experience, from using the interface to actually playing the game mechanics, all the way down to actually buying the game and accessing the game. If you make it easy for people to buy stuff, simple, clear, so they know what they're getting and they know when they buy this and they've got that and they can access everything and, it's all good. When you do that, people will spend their money on it. They'll even spend more than they would otherwise because they just want to access the game without pissing around. So, that is the only real issue I have with RaceRoom right now, is the way they sell the content in the game. And Sector 3, on whoever's in charge of the purse strings at Sector 3, they need to look at this and they need to fix this. I should make a separate video on it because by now, no one's going to get to this part of the video, but this is the only thing holding RaceRoom back from really just being a game that everyone pitches. This is the thing, a lot of driving sim fans, will buy every bloody sim because we're desperate. We're desperate for driving sims. And all the sims, although at times you like one type of handling over another, or we like certain cars or tracks in a sim, the point is, you'll always find something in each sim that justifies you getting that sim to drive. And so sim drivers, sim racers, although there's only 250,000 of us at the top end with all the kit and what have you, we'll just buy every driving sim so long as it's made clear and easy to buy stuff, and it's obvious what you're going to get for that money, and you know that the developer's not just going to suddenly bring out another content pack a month later that means you can't race online easily. Just stuff like that might just makes you want to smash your face into the floor. So anyway, all said and done, as I say, absolutely superb patch. The biggest thing being the force feedback changes and how that changes the handling of the cars, your approach of it, the enjoyment of the game for me and drivers that like to drive from field. Absolutely transformative. So absolutely superb patch. The best update that you could have possibly wanted for RaceRoom. So if you were on the fence at this point in time, this is now the time to go for it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at setting up or getting a service set up that's running some specific content that doesn't cost too much and is on a rotation, so that when we do the streaming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it'll be an option for us to go, okay, we're going on RaceRoom, this is what you need, it doesn't cost much, we can get in, we can do a tour of different tracks, we can enjoy the content without pissing around, people know what to buy, all simple and done. So we'll sort that out. But until then, fantastic job Sector 3, and we'll cover this game more. It's now more enjoyable to play, so I'll play it more, and I'm sure other people will. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was informative. It's 16 minutes of la-di-da talking, but there you go, that's what you get when a game is updated, and it's a good update. So don't forget to click the follow button, subscribe, and as I say, our streams on Twitch, go to our Twitch channel, it's in the video description, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8 PM, where you can jump in and drive with us. Normally it's AC, iRacing and other games, we drive online so everyone can jump in. I will see you then. Until then, till then, goodbye.